But it's almost as if my father-in-law has read a book somewhere recently that goes, but you're 74, Tony, ergo, you can't do this anymore. And he's living to that belief that he's now created where he can't do that anymore. And actually, he probably does have the ability, but he doesn't have the confidence.
The question is from Thinking Focus.
Hello, I'm Rob.
Hi, I'm Paul.
And today, the question is, how can I improve my confidence? Because I think I really need to.
Yeah, I'm not sure you do, to be fair. But it is an interesting question.
Yes.
And it is kind of worth stating that, confidence is kind of a scale.
Right.
And ideal confidence isn't the top.
Sure.
So there is such a thing as too much confidence that causes people to make bad decisions.
Okay.
Not going to focus on that, though. Let's assume for this conversation that you're trying to get from low confidence to...
Okay. And what about wavering confidence? Because I'm imagining that confidence can also go up and down.
It can, and I think it's worth kind of exploring how confidence builds.
Right.
So let's kind of go back to first principles. So there's some brilliant work by a guy called Professor Ian Robertson. I think he's from Trinity in Ireland. He's wrote a brilliant book called How Confidence Works. And he describes confidence in that, and I love this description, as being sort of the combination of two things.
Right.
So can I do it? Belief in self.
Yes.
So kind of internal view of confidence.
Right.
And can it happen? Is it possible? Okay. External view of confidence. And it's these two things coming together that make us confident. So you think about all the people we meet in organizations, very often they'll say, well, I'm sure we could do it, but we won't be allowed.
Right.
So high can I, low can happen.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you go, well, I get it that these things are possible, but we can't deliver that.
Yes.
And so one without the other causes confidence to dip. And that's why I think you get that wavering, because our confidence often is based on external factors. Our beliefs of the world go up and down.
Right.
At the moment, the world is in a kind of weird place.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not, a lot of the places we go, people are going, well, it's really bad right now.
Yes.
Well, some of that's true. Some of that is, the economic situation is not great. But some of that is perceived because you just go home and the news says the world is bad and other people say the world is bad, and therefore we start to go, the world is bad.
Yeah.
And so we look for examples of where the world is bad and we find them because we're very good at finding things that conform to our beliefs. And that then starts to bring our confidence down.
Sure. Yeah. And I can observe that, with my father-in-law. I mean, my father-in-law, who's in his 70s, has had a dip in his general confidence in the last 3, 4, 5 years. So he's doing less, going places less, driving less, and almost as a result of that, it's having a knock-on effect to other things that he would normally do quite confidently, like his decision-making, like making some choices, and his confidence is dipping.
And that's really interesting because, if you imagine it as a kind of a scorecard, every time you do something and we exceed our expectation, so we think we're going to get X and we get X plus.
Right.
Confidence goes up.
Okay.
If we get X minus, confidence goes down.
Right.
The challenge is with ourselves, we kind of little factor up the plus numbers, not the down numbers, which is why our confidence can become too much.
Right.
So the things that we over attribute our successes to self a little bit.
Right.
It's called asymmetric updating. And so you
easy for you to say. All right.
So we chalk up the positive scores more than the negative ones to us.
Right.
And actually, creating this sort of rose-tinted view of the past and, we're great. Actually, we can do the opposite to others. So we can, I always remember one of my early bosses saying to me, the problem in this company is, you do stuff, you get it right, you get it wrong. She called it brownie points and wazzo points.
Okay.
She said the problem with this company is a wazzo point's worth 7 brownie points. And it's very true that actually our perception of other people,
right,
and our confidence in others and all that stuff, we tend to build up the negative over the positive. But for ourselves, we do it the other way around.
Sure.
So we kind of build up this confidence. But it is about having a series of successes. So often, when we're coaching people and people have got low confidence, what do? We talk about small wins.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, what are we doing? We're going, go and notice these things
Yeah.
and make sure you collect the points and put them on your blooming scorecard.
Yeah. And think of a time in the past where you have done X. Think of a time when, this has happened or that has happened.
It's the equivalent of going back and going, I didn't get the air miles for that flight. Hang on a minute. Here's my boarding pass. I didn't get the confidence for that achievement.
Right.
Here's my boarding pass. Can you add them to my account, please?
Yes. Yeah.
That's kind of what we're doing. And that's how confidence builds up. And it's based around belief in self and belief in situation. This can happen.
Okay.
Now, what's really interesting with confidence is you go, well, why is that important? And we go, well, it's important because it directly impacts performance.
Right.
So we can see in research, there's been some research with cyclists. And what they're doing with the cyclists is they were basically going, and they weren't cyclists like, just riding around town cyclists. These were proper elite people who can cycle and not get out of breath because, they've gone 10 yards like me. They're going, ride that bike in a lab setting.
Yes.
Until exhaustion.
Right.
Yeah, and then measuring how long it takes.
Right.
They then get another group of cyclists, similar ability, similar level.
Mm-hmm.
With this group, they're getting them to ride the bike till exhaustion, but they're giving them a load of positive affirmations to repeat. So they're building their confidence. They're building their perception of their ability.
Okay.
And there's a notable difference about how long they can go.
Okay. Right.
In the same way they did a thing with old people and grip.
Okay.
So they basically say, grip this thing. You're old.
Yes. Yeah.
You've probably done this experiment, Rob.
No, thanks.
But you grip this thing. How long can you grip it for? How hard can you grip it?
Right.
And as they come in, they're given material about how strong older people are.
Uh-huh.
And so those who read stuff about actually, grip goes with age.
Yes.
That lowers their confidence. They do much worse than people who are read material and see material that says you can do better with age.
Yeah.
And, you can do better than you think you can. And we underestimate our abilities in these things.
That's really interesting because going back to my research topic, my father-in-law, in fact, most of members of my family are research topics for me, which is quite interesting, young and old. But going back to my father-in-law.
Just your family, because I'm starting to wonder if we are just guinea pigs in the Rob research.
Yeah, but I try to keep that well hidden or more hidden than the actual, obvious thing that I do with my family.
I don't want to lower your confidence, but you're not doing that very well.
Okay. But it's almost as if my father-in-law has read a book somewhere recently, sometime in the last 5 years, that goes, but you're 74, Tony, ergo, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And he's living to that belief that he's now created where he can't do that anymore. And actually, he probably does have the ability, but he doesn't have the confidence.
And age is one of the areas we see that where we put labels on people and it impacts their confidence. Age, but class and race and gender.
Right.
Just driving into the studio today to do this, I was listening, I forget her name, the brilliant scientist. I can never say her surname, Anne-Marie. She's the famous mathematician. And she's just talking about, she's Countdown for a while. She's literally stood in on Countdown.
Oh, right, okay. No, the only Anne-Marie I know is a singer.
And I've probably got her name completely wrong, but she's talking about, early in her career, having to deal with the fact that she's female and she's black and therefore, and people looked at her and went, well, therefore you can't be as good at computer science and maths.
Sure.
And you go, well, what has any of that got to do with what she does?
Yeah.
But these labels impact our confidence.
Yeah.
And so you kind of see that playing out, again, in organizations and companies where some people with overconfidence create labels
yes.
that they're using to build themselves up.
Right.
That have the risk and danger of pulling other people down.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because what it's causing me to think about, and linking back to one of our other podcasts that is that we either should be doing or is likely to be coming out soon, is that link to self-esteem. Because that labelling, that external labelling or the labels that we gather from other people unwittingly or unknowingly, are knocking not only our confidence in the moment, but actually probably having a detrimental effect on our self-esteem. Because if that causes us to believe that those labels have been attached to us and that we can't break away from them, that's going to impact our self-esteem. And the opposite is also true. So the gathering of those labels. I mean, the different experiences that I had in my younger life in travelling around and all the rest of it built a pool of confidence around travel, around schooling, around interacting with other people, etc., which sort of lasts for quite a long time. And I don't refer to it or think about it much, but there's no doubt in my mind, being able to sort of look at it through the lens that you're describing, that I've built up a bank of labels, which has caused me to be confident in certain situations where other people who have not had those experiences, they'd have to do something else to build confidence.
Yes, exactly. And I think, and then we see that playing out in general life. You only have to watch the news, to watch a group of people who are applying some of the confidence from other settings that's been given to them, and therefore believing they're great in any setting. Right. And the thing is, to a certain extent, they might be, because confidence drives action. Confidence, in essence, is our belief in our future self.
Right. Okay.
Yeah? So if you think of it like that, you go, do I believe in myself to achieve this thing? Mm-hmm. If I've got high confidence, I think, yes, I can achieve it. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I'm more likely to do stuff.
Yes.
Well, actually, so Woody Allen quote, what is it? Success is 80% of success is showing up.
Yeah.
If we do stuff, we are more likely to achieve it than if we don't do stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Funny that.
So if you're more confident, you're more likely to do things. If you're more likely to do things, you're more likely to be successful.
Yes.
And success breeds confidence.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And so it's literally, playing it the other way around. When people, often when I'm working with somebody and they go, I want to apply for this job, I want to do this thing. I mean, the sort of classic one is, I'd like to be a manager. Help me get ready to be a manager.
Yeah.
And there's a point in that journey where you go, look, there's a whole load of skills I can teach you. That will improve your confidence. Mm-hmm. There's a whole load of things you can go away and do, and that will improve your confidence. But the last part of this journey of improving your confidence will actually come from managing people.
Yeah.
It's not going to, there's nothing you can do to gain that confidence.
Yeah, it's all theory up until that point.
Yeah. And so often, people are going, well, when I'm ready, I will do.
Yes.
And you're going, doesn't work like that.
No.
It's the other way round.
Yes.
When you do, you'll become ready.
Yes, yeah.
And so actually at some point, this balance of confidence, of this belief in our future self, allows you to tip the balance and go, if I can see that I could possibly do this and it could possibly happen, those kind of bits are in place.
Right, okay.
I'm going to take a leap.
Yes, okay. It's almost like I'm confident enough to take that step.
Yes.
I don't have to be, to your point before, I don't have to be a 10 out of 10 in my confidence scale to be able to then do that thing. Because you can't even reach 10 out of 10 in confidence precisely because you haven't done it. You haven't had the experience yet.
Yeah. And therefore, I think, when somebody says, how can I improve my confidence? Mm-hmm. The first step is, well, what is it you can do that is not so risky that it feels terrifying.
Right.
And you get into this again, this sort of the difference between things that are dangerous and things that are scary.
Okay, yeah.
Which I love, this idea of often we don't do because it feels scary.
Okay.
But actually the risk is quite low.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I've done you've probably had a few people like this, public speaking or presenting comes up a lot. And you go, well, look, go present to your colleagues, to your team for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrifying. You're not going to die.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Yes, it will feel slightly uncomfortable the first time you do it.
Right.
Because it's the first time you do it.
Yes. Yeah.
But actually, the second time you do it, it'll feel less uncomfortable. And the third time you do it, it'll feel less uncomfortable. And then you go and present to somebody a bit more senior or a slightly bigger group.
Sure.
And you build up from there. What you don't want to do is go, I'm terrified of public speaking. Do you know what? Let's hire the Palladium, fill it with strangers.
Yeah. And then have a go.
Yeah. Because that's probably a leap too far.
Yes. Yeah.
So often for me, you go, how can I improve my confidence? Mm-hmm. The number one step is you got to do something.
Right.
Because you've got to build up the points.
Right.
You've got to...
And you probably have to do something small. So with the build-up, as you're saying.
Well, you've got to do something within
steps.
The ability you've got.
Right.
Because if you pick something too big, you don't feel confident enough, you're never going to take the leap.
Right, okay, yeah.
That thing you said earlier about, confidence, I need to be confident enough to take some action. The action drives confidence.
Yes.
That builds more confidence, which means I can take more action.
Sure.
And that's why I think confidence is a predictor of outcome. It's such a good predictor of outcome.
Yeah.
Because the more you have, the more likely you are to take action in the first place.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know why it's just popped into my head, but, a skiing comparison, if you wanted to go skiing, you have to sort of build up the confidence, first of all, to actually put the skis on and go on a little slope, to enable you to then go, well, I'm looking up the mountain there. I'm not ready for that mountain, but at the moment I'm learning to ski.
Yeah.
And, actually I might have fallen over a couple of times, but when I feel a little bit more confident and secure in my ability, I might take the little pommel lift up to the next level and go on a gentle slope.
Exactly.
So, and having been skiing before, lucky enough to do that, one of the things that was told to me is go to ski school. Don't just try and go and do it, because the ski school bit was the creating the confidence bit.
Yes, it's taking the bit that you've got.
Yeah.
Am I confident that I could go and learn this with somebody who knows what they're doing and who will keep me safe?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
Right.
Right, now I'm going to take that bit and take some action. That action enables me to know how to stand up on the skis and not fall over. And
that's exactly what the ski instructors would do, because they'd go, right, we've done our bit, 3 hours in the morning, whatever. Now you've got to go and apply it. You've got to go and do, like you were just describing.
Yeah.
Go and have a go.
Because that's where the confidence has come from. And you're building this points up. Now, there's a couple of things that are worth talking about before we round this off.
Yeah, go ahead.
One is, one of the reasons we often lack confidence is we're not actually clear about what it is we're trying to do and what the expectation is.
Right.
And therefore we create much bigger expectations than the reality.
Yeah, there's a mismatch there.
Yeah, there's a mismatch.
Yes, right.
And therefore we have enough confidence to get started on what we actually are trying to do.
Yes.
But not for what we're imagining we're trying to do.
Okay, right.
So I don't know, maybe I want to learn the piano. Do I have enough confidence to sit in a room and play the piano badly on my own? Probably I do.
Right.
But if in my head I'm imagining, everyone coming up at Christmas and we're sitting around singing songs,
yes, yeah.
I've just made it too hard.
Of course.
So be really clear about what the goals are.
Right.
The other thing to talk about is this thing that goes around called power posing. Have you come across this?
No.
So there's this theory that came out a number of years ago, and it's become quite popular. And the reason I'm raising it is because you see quite a lot of politicians doing it recently.
Right.
There's a few UK politicians. I've seen a few American politicians.
Okay.
Which is this idea that if you kind of stand shoulders back, legs slightly apart, chest out, hands on your hips almost in a kind of...
false show of confidence.
False show, almost standing like some weird 1950s superhero, just with your underpants inside your trousers, not outside your trousers. That will drive confidence.
Okay.
Because there was this kind of piece of research that kind of sort of posed that it might be true.
Right.
Later research, the stuff I've read, is going, interestingly, doing all those stuff doesn't kind of make a difference.
Okay.
However, what's more interesting, but not doing some of those things, so doing the opposite, hunching over, head down, not being out of eye contact, has a massive impact.
Right.
And reduces confidence.
Right. Isn't that interesting? Because when you were making that description, and as I say, you have I heard of that? No, I haven't. But from the description, I'm going, okay, well, that's the fake it till you make it type of school, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is now, from the research, that's not as accurate.
But I think to me it says there's a kind of mid-level.
Right.
So it's like again, let's go to public speaking. If you can walk out in front of an audience, and I always think this, just to this day when I do big keynote type stuff, my confidence at the end of it is relatively high.
Okay.
But I'm being really honest. I am always cacking myself at the start. And so I do have to at some point go, you've done this loads of times. You've done it before. You know what you're talking about.
Sure.
But also as a backup, I've really rehearsed the first 2 minutes.
Of course, yeah.
Because then I'm in the flow and I'm fine.
Yeah.
And so for that bit, I think, in the first 2 minutes, can I remember to stand up straight? Can I remember to look at the audience? Can I put my shoulders back a little bit? That all makes a big difference. But standing there like, 1950 Superman just makes me look like an idiot.
That description, I think, is really interesting, and I think enormously useful to people who will listen to this, because I would imagine that in a similar situation, the greater majority of people will expect that they should be rehearsing, but will probably want to rehearse the whole thing, be really good at the whole thing in their own mind before they start. And you've just given a description about the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, I want to think, again, you go, and we have to do a podcast on perfectionism. I think in the next few weeks, there's got to be a podcast on perfectionism, because perfectionism kills confidence.
Right.
Because if I worked out and went, I've got to say everything perfect.
Word perfect.
I've got to get all the points in the right order in this talk.
Yeah.
in the same way every time.
Yeah.
Pitch perfect. Like I'm doing a piece of Shakespeare,
Right.
right?
It's too big.
It's too big. And it's no surprise if you look at a Shakespearean actor, they spend weeks and months perfecting that performance. Yeah. And even they will go, and every night is slightly different.
Yes. And actually the better ones, my perception is, I don't have proof for this, but the better ones probably have an element of character improv in the way they deliver it.
Exactly.
It's not rehearsed to within an inch of its life.
Because they're giving themselves some freedom.
There we go.
Where and their confidence is coming from their ability to do that. And,
right.
And I think the same with public speaking, or a lot of things we lose confidence over because we set the wrong expectation, because we set this, it's all got to be perfect. Mm-hmm. I always work now, if I'm asked to do a talk, and I use that basis, do I know what I'm talking about well enough? And if I don't, why am I standing there on stage?
Yeah.
I should be going away. And that's why I do the prep. But not in terms of let me learn it line by line, but let me understand the material. Let me embody the material so I can talk about it.
And I'll come back to your reference to the first 2 minutes. I think that's an enormously, powerful and useful message, because it's like, don't strive for the whole thing, because that's where you're building it to be too big.
Yes.
You're going, I just need to get the first 2 minutes.
And then I need to get to the end of the first slide, and then I need to get to the end of the first bit.
Yeah.
And then...
Because what's happening is that bit where you described that you're cacking yourself to begin with, which most people would do, actors still get stage fright. You have to just get over that. It's the chemical release where you get over it and then you relax into it, and then you are giving of yourself.
But also, each one of those is you're building a piece of confidence. You're adding a few points. I've hit that milestone. I've hit that milestone. I've hit that milestone. Right. So I'm building it up, and it's just about having enough confidence in step one,
right,
to take action.
Next time on The Question Is.
The secret with goals is, we use this term, don't we, Goldilocks, the Goldilocks effect. What we're trying to do here is to kind of make them challenging, but attainable, but not too easy that we kind of don't bother. So we don't need to get out of bed to deliver them.
To find out how Thinking Focus can unlock the potential within your organisation, go to www.thinkingfocus.com, where you'll discover more about the work we do, helping our clients increase productivity and enable change.